Welcome along to Cadwell Park. It's not sunny, it's not warm, and it's meant to rain later. But we're here for a bit more endurance racing with no limits, and I've also got my twin to do in the sprint races, and Martin is riding his 600 and his BMW in the sprint races. So we have got quite a busy schedule. Hopefully Martin doesn't do anything silly like fall off in the sprint races and knack up the endurance, otherwise he's for it. Yeah, hopefully it'll be a good day, hopefully the weather forecast's wrong, but it's Cadwell Park so it might be snowing. Normally the pit crew don't actually get an introduction, but this is Adam. Normally you only see, like, you know, well, you don't actually see him. And we've also got, over there, that's Hollyoaks. His real name's Rob, but he once auditioned for Hollyoaks. Apparently he didn't get in because he was too good looking. And over there's Martin, and he's the one who doesn't like talking. And you don't have to adjust your TV, we just have the world's most orange awning, which is why I'm stood outside. Oh, no, go back in there, you look better inside. The slight chaos of Cadwell Park is that for the sprint races and the qualifying for the endurance and bits, we're running out of the awning in the paddock, but when it comes to the actual endurance racing, we're running out of a little sort of pop-up tent in pit lane, so we have to sort of keep moving stuff down there during the day as and when we need it, but once the racing's on, obviously we can't move anything. In a spate of optimism, I'm getting the dries put in the BMW for endurance qualifying. The weather forecast says it's going to start raining at 11 o'clock. We're out for qualifying at 10:55. So hopefully we'll get 2 dry laps. And, you know, the weather forecast for Cadwell tends to be rubbish anyway. So I'm not saying I'm keeping an eye on the lads, but they have been a little bit out of practice doing this sort of thing.
I did it 2 weeks ago.
Okay, Adam knows what he's doing. Oh. Does Rob know what he's doing?
Where does this go? Oh, it goes the other way round, mate. Does it go on the back here? Is that right?
Yeah.
I'll do it.
So, we know Martin's a man of very few words, but because he's not actually started riding yet, there is a remote chance he's going to speak.
I may do. What would you like to know, Dave?
What's the target for the day? What's the, you know, the hopes and aspirations?
Sub 35 and no rain.
Because it is going to rain today, I have put my wet leathers on.
They're not wet?
Well, they're not wet yet, but they will be wet later. Well, they'll actually be a little bit wet already, actually.
You're in the van for a long time.
And I thought, I got my boots out, went, there's a pair of socks in there. I wonder if I've already washed them, and I got them out. It smelled almost as bad as Adam's trump in the van this morning, which was horrific. That boy needs a government health warning. Anyway, we've had first call for the twin. I probably ought to put my helmet on, and we'll go right around. So I've done my first twin quali session, which was basically mired in CB500s, which are moderate chaos because, well, they only have one speed and they're elbows out. But I got like one half decent lap. I think I'm 11th on the grid. I say half decent, it was slow, but there you go. Right, Martin went out on his BM for his sprint qualifying, and halfway through the session it started raining. It is currently now raining on me. And he's meant to be straight on his 600, so we have 7 minutes to change the wheels in it. So the boys are busying themselves. And then there's a session on track now, and then I'm out on the BM for endurance quali, so I'm going to do the first stint, do 15-20 minutes or so. Then I'll come in and Martin will do about the same. But it's spitting. The track is dry, so I've got slicks in, but it is spitting, and I'm just hoping I can get a few reasonable laps in before it properly piddles down. So yeah, not the best morning so far. What's happened? I've done quali, like the first few laps of quali, and there's a little bit of traffic because there's a lot of bikes out for the endurance for quali, so there's quite a lot of traffic. I never quite got a clear lap, and then it started drizzling, and it's only really mental rain, but I thought I'm probably not actually going to go any quicker, so I mean the pace was slow, like 1 minute 40, and quali was pretty rubbish, but that's what I've done, so that'll have to do for now. So Martin's out there at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what pace he does, because he's done the test day a bit more laps than me. Right, fingers crossed. It's definitely rained now. This morning it was just teasing us, but now it's actually really, really wet. So we've been fitting wets to, well, most bikes. The Twin I'm out on first in about probably 15-20 minutes. There's a race on track, so that's got wets in it. I don't bother warming my wets because they don't really need it. Hello, Rob. Are you enjoying changing wheels?
I think we've changed the wheels. Is there a reason you're shoving that up my nose? About 17 times so far today, and I think you've done 3 laps each, which is great.
Yeah, all positive stuff. At least the stickers on the bike look good.
How was that, Dave?
Wet. Yeah, it's proper wet out there. Yeah, it was alright. Gearing was a bit lazy for the wet. In effect, I rode like I was going to the shops, and it seemed to be alright.
Do you know where you came?
No, 5th, 6th, something like that, I think.
Up a bit.
Oh, 4th or 5th?
Up a little bit.
3rd?
Hey!
Yeah, that'll do. Whereas Martin doesn't get a podium now, we've just, sacked in it. Yeah.
I think the COCK might need to take effect if he doesn't podium this race.
Non-podium riders get a Guinness on their motorcycle. I think that's fair enough. Yeah.
So for the endurance race this afternoon, that is the size of our garage. As you can see, there's a lot of people here. A hell of a lot. This is going to be carnage. Just the way we like it. Hi, Dave.
Hiya!
How busy is it down here?
This is chaos. This is utter chaos. Like, how long have we had the bike back on the warmers? 20 minutes maybe at a push? And it's, yeah, and then they're meant to be an hour on the warmers, and they were a bit warm anyway, but I think first couple of laps were a bit steady, and we're going on slicks because they were already warm, and the track, there is a dry line everywhere. The only slight problem is that you can't go offline, so if I don't have a brilliant start, I need to overtake people. I need to go on the wet bare track on slicks to overtake people. It'll be fine.
Hey, dandy.
Right, shit start because I forgot to press the kill switch into its on position, and it's greasy and wet and the tyres were not very warm and it was just a bit, and then I just plugged away, got some laps in doing like 38, so I can go 5 seconds a lap quicker than that round here. I just wasn't. Yeah, I just plugged away. There's a lot of traffic. There are a couple of people out there who look like they've only just done their CBT. And they really shouldn't be in an endurance race because 4 of us nearly T-boned 1 person into Hall Bends. It was chaos. But, riding motorbikes is fun.
I'm following him up there.
Oh, there he goes, look, riding round on his motorbike on the live timing.
His next board's 20 minutes.
He's got 20 minutes to go. Excrement.
Yeah, so Dave just come in after his last session. How is it going, Dave?
I'm a bit warm. Give me a second, I'll take my helmet off.
You look like you were doing some work out there. Lots of traffic. Oh.
Well, I hope the lap times are better because I was trying.
Yes.
That is the best I felt on a bike this year because I was actually trying. I put 2 mil of ride out in the shock before I went out, because on a full tank it was real heavy to steer through the chicane and places. So I put 2 mil of ride on it, and all of a sudden it felt like my bike again. It felt proper. Yeah, not stunningly quick. There's a few places into Hall and bits where I'm not quite as quick as I want. A little bit front end sort of confidence still a little bit, but yeah, but I enjoyed that session. And weirdly, I wasn't running the lap time because I was running it as a session timer. And but please tell me it was faster.
What than Martin?
Well, then I went earlier, really.
No, we don't want 37s.
Is that all?
Yeah. We still want 37s. Not happy, but the amount of traffic that's out there though is mental.
I thought I'd be doing 30. I thought I'd be doing. It felt like 35 pace.
Yeah, but when you're coming down start-finish straight and you're weaving in and out of 3 or 4 bikes to get past them.
Yeah, but I did get a couple of reasonably clear laps, especially early on, but I really thought the pace was quicker than that. Oh well, it is what it is. In one piece.
Have you had fun though? Have you had fun?
Yes, until you told me the mean lap time. Yeah, it was alright, that was actually. Yeah, I enjoyed that a bit more. Right, had time to sort of chill out for a few minutes, had a bit to drink. It's getting quite late and it is cooling down, so I am now chilled. In retrospect, nobody's going mega fast. We're blaming traffic. So that seems like a reasonable excuse. But Adam tells me, firstly, that he fancies me, which is understandable. And secondly, apparently I'm quite consistent. So apparently Martin's lap times are a little bit up and down in compared to mine. It does depend on where you catch the traffic. So when I get the timesheet, if he's lying to me, I'm going to get really upset. And then there'll be nothing to do except kick him square in the nuts.
I didn't hear any of that. Was that excuses handbook coming out?
No. The excuses handbook would.
Sorry.
The excuses would come off. It's only a silly little club race. Martin did the test day and he raced the last 2 weekends, and I've worked far too many hours this week. And realistically, there aren't excuses because I should be faster than I'm going. Need to put my finger out. But it is endurance racing, so it's all about not falling off. That'll do. So we're just watching the last few laps, and Martin just went over the start-finish line and put his hand up, and I thought, surely he can't be pulling in with like 2 minutes to go unless he's really running out of fuel. And then we realised they'd actually put the red flag out, because obviously somebody's tipped off somewhere, and normally in the endurance you don't have red flags, they put the safety car out, but obviously with 2 minutes to go, no point in having a safety car, so they flagged it weirdly. So I think we're 11th. Which is alright for starting 20th, so we were consistent. We did 2 long stints each instead of lots of shorter stints, which helped us. So yeah, Martin's done really well because he's really, really fast. We shall congratulate him as such.
There he is. What about?
So realistically, 2 bikes with Obsession Engineering plastered on them, faultless throughout. That'll do. My orange is better though. Weirdly, this side's the one that wears, and Martin's smoother than me, so this has worn quite a lot in one session. But weirdly, the SC0 I had on for the first session, which should have been terrible in these conditions, it didn't feel as good, but it actually lasted better. So yeah, another quality Pirelli product.
That's why we race Dunlops, right?
It is why we use Dunlops, because that's meant to be the endurance Pirelli, and it's lasted worse than the softest compounded slick they make.
44 minutes.
Bonkers. Bonkers. Right then, about 8 or 9 minutes before me twin race, and it goes a bit like yesterday. It's twin race, then Martin straight out on the BMW, and then he's straight out on the 600 as well, back to back. So I'll have to run the 600 down to the holding area and do a quick swap with him. I've actually remembered to put some cameras on the twin today, because yesterday I completely forgot. So they're ready to go, I'm ready to go. It's actually dry, and there's lots and lots of big black clouds. So yeah, hopefully we'll just sneak this first one in, and yeah, that'll be a bit of a bonus. Well, that wasn't the most entertaining dry race I've ever had, because we only got half a lap of the dry race, and then it rained and a couple of people slipped off at park. So we came in, we had sort of just over 10 minutes to put the wets in, went back out, and the first couple of laps were proper wet, and then by the end of the race it was damp with a bit of a drying line in places and a couple of wet patches, and you'd want wets in still. But yeah, it wasn't brilliant. It was a lot drier than yesterday. So I think fifth, somewhere like that. I wasn't really keeping up with the lads in front. I could hear somebody on what I assume was a slow bar behind me. It turns out is a lad called Max Sylvester, who's a rookie and eager with youth. So I just blocked him a bit on the last lap and used the extra speed of my bike to beat him, which seemed fair. So Martin's just gone out on the BMW on wet. The sun is beating down. By mid-race there will be a dry line, but it would be a brave man who started on dries. But I'm going to get his 600 set up on dries because he's straight on that. It's turning into a busy morning. Could really do with my pit assistants with me. So Rob, Adam, you know you should be here. Right then, Martin's out riding around on the BMW. He's sort of midfield. I think there's a bit of a tyre war going on because he's just been passed by Matt Trulev, who's running a wet front but a dry rear, and he's now going 8 seconds a lap quicker, but lost loads and loads of time at the start of the race. So yeah, I think wets were the safe option. While Martin's out enjoying himself on the 600, we're doing a bit of thinking on the twin, because I've been really meaning to change some other bits on the setup recently, and I haven't got around to testing them. In effect, what I want to try is, I'm actually going to try it. At the moment we've got, if you can see in here, a lot of ride height on the shock, a lot of shock length on it, and compared to the other CF Motos that are kicking around, we're running a lot of shock length, so in effect a lot of rear ride height. So what I'm going to do is drop quite a lot of length out of the shock, and for the next race we'll see if it makes any difference. And the game is, the next race might be dry, because the weather forecast keeps changing. Martin's just finished, well, 2 races back to back, The second race was going well until he might have slightly run out of fuel. But as he pointed out to the marshal at the hairpin where he ended up stopping, if anybody asks, it was the most heroic save anybody's ever done after the massive slide, and so, you know, after that there's no point going any further. So other than that, right, firstly, you were saying tyre difference, the 1000s on Pirelli Metzeler's and the 600s on Dunlops, go!
Dunlops from Pirelli's. Whenever you go anywhere on a Pirelli, it's moving, it's fidgeting. Like, especially with the power go through it, you jump on a Dunlop, it's like it's on a rail, and it's actually harder to get used to switching back one way to the other. So you're chucking into a corner and there's no movement whatsoever, and to get used to that, it's weird. So the first few laps I was a bit steady, but then after that it's just throw the front in, pick the throttle up, no movement whatsoever. It might be the way forward.
That's it, a man who spent years and years on Pirelli, one race on Dunlops, and he may be hooked. Obviously we're not saying that one is better than the other, but clearly one is better than the other. To nobody's great surprise, it's wet again. We had a bit of a downpour earlier, and the bit of road down here towards the holding area was basically a river. So the circuit's not going to dry anytime soon, so the wet is still in the front of the little twin. Really, I'm just testing my shock length change on this. I'm not really too fussed about it, maybe even staying out of the whole race, because Scarborough next week, don't want to go do anything daft. I just want to feel the difference with the shock. Right, only did pulled in on the second lap of that Supertwin race. Reasonable start, but I can feel the changes to the bike have helped it already. It's a little bit counterintuitive because they should have made it worse, but they've actually made it better. So, you know, we've learned something. So the bike felt good, but the track's really, well, not even half and half. There's a couple of sections, like the big traction sections, Charlie's 2 and Chris Curve, are dry, or really dry line. But the rest of the circuit's soaking wet, so you're going to kill a wet riding round, and there's no point. And it's like, and then my head wasn't really in it, and I thought, do you know what? Bike's working. It's Scarborough next week. Probably better put it in the van. So that's it from Cadwell Park. It's been pretty good. There's been trophies, and there's been, you know, decent laps and stuff, and we've actually had more dry weather than we thought. So happy days. Team's done really well. So join us again next time for some more motorbike fun.